Hello and welcome to Newshound. I'm your host, Samantha Casano, and right now I am so excited to be joined by ABC World News Now and America This Morning co-anchor, Andrew Dymburt. Andrew, thank you so much for being here and being the first ever guest on Newshound.
Oh, I didn't know it was the first. Okay.
You know, when I was thinking about this series and thinking about how I wanted to talk to people who have been doing that local news route and working up into that network level, you were truly one of the first people I thought of. I love watching your work, so I am so honored to have you as a guest on here.
Thank you.
So how did you first fall in love with this news and this industry and know this is something that you wanted to do for a career? Was it while you were growing up or something that you kind of discovered along the way in life?
No, actually, along the way in life, in high school, we had a really renowned broadcast journalism kind of program, and I was not part of any of that. It wasn't even until college, like halfway through college, when I really decided that this was a passion of mine. I started by like writing for the newspaper at my college, and then sort of getting some articles printed in the local newspaper, even though they were buried in like, the 34th page. And it was from there that I just kind of, my love for writing grew. And then that sort of morphed into broadcast journalism. At first, I kind of just wanted to be a writer or a columnist. And I just got my hands on anything I could in college, whether it was radio or writing for the newspaper, like I mentioned, and then eventually TV. And then I just kind of went that route.
That's awesome. Do you remember what the first story you ever covered was, or the first story maybe that you broke?
Oh yeah, I remember the first story that I covered because I have it framed actually, and it was a women's softball game between Georgia Tech and Florida State University.
That's so awesome. Now, working in local news, a lot of really odd, wacky things can happen. I remember in my first week, I was driving to work in the middle of the night because I was doing mornings, and I saw a body just lying in the middle of the road, and I called dispatch, and I was so unfamiliar with that. What was the craziest thing that ever happened to you while you were covering a story?
Oh boy, a lot of things. a lot of things come to mind. Nothing that crazy. Never really saw a body lying in the middle of the street. A lot of them though are more kind of disturbing and not really like fun, topical conversations. But I do distinctly remember it was a woman's body, and I remember police like bringing residents rather putting the tarp over her body before police even got there, and we got there before police did, and it was really disturbing, and that sort of just like stuck with me because you never know where you're going to get sent to or what's going to happen. I mean, there are some other instances, like I went to cover a manhole fire, which is a pretty standard story in the Northeast, especially in the wintertime. And it seemed like, a pretty garden variety story here. Power was out for a lot of people, winter weather. And then suddenly the manhole exploded like 10 feet away from us. And the sound was so loud that it shattered like all of the windows around us. And,
wow.
And picture this, the manhole cover shot into the air and then landed. Like if that landed on any one of us, it would have like killed us. And there were, police, fire, media, and nobody knew it would get that bad. And you just never know when you're on a breaking news scene, like what is going to happen. So a couple of times, there are a couple instances that come to mind. You never know. That's the kind of the beauty and the curse of this job, right? Like you never know where it's going to take you.
That's definitely intense. A lot of the stories we cover are fun and lighthearted, and some of them are definitely very deep and dark. Yeah. Now, people always say it's important to get your feet wet in those smaller markets where you can make mistakes and learn along the way. How important was that for you before you moved on to places like Portland and Miami and eventually making that transition to a national network where you are today?
Well, I think everybody's journey is a little bit different. I don't think necessarily that, although it is the best route to go into local news in smaller markets and kind of build that way, that's not the only route. And I was fortunate enough that I actually got my start in New York and in Philadelphia for a late night magazine style news show, and then just kind of stayed in the New York area and then freelanced and then worked for News 12, which is a regional news network in the New York area. So I would say everybody's path is a little bit different, but yeah, it's definitely important to take chances and make those mistakes early on. But you're seeing it now more than ever. I feel like there are a lot of people who are getting their foot in the door at either bigger markets or bigger or network, and even behind the scenes first, and then just sort of bullying their way to what they want to do, whether that be on camera or writing or, you know, being a correspondent and things like that. So, you know, no two paths are the same, but I was fully prepared, by the way. I applied for jobs out of college in Dothan, Alabama, Springfield, Illinois, and Iowa City, and got rejected from all of them. So I definitely wanted to go that route, but it just wasn't in the cards for me. So I try to always tell people that don't get discouraged. Like, everybody's path is different.
Especially with where digital news is today, but it's definitely, local news is not the only option, you know,
right?
Something that we've both been through, but it's definitely not the only option. Now, you started with ABC last year as a Washington correspondent, and you were recently promoted to co-anchor of World News Now in America This Morning. So congratulations on that. How is that overnight life shift treating you?
It's fun, but yeah, it's a challenge, right? I sleep when everybody else is working. I basically sleep from 9 to 5, and my day starts at like 6-7 p.m. and we go, you know, World News Now, we're live at 2 a.m. and then we do at 2:30 a.m. and then we do America This Morning at 4 a.m. and then on top of those duties might come Good Morning America or World News Tonight. So the days can get very, very long. So it's been an adjustment for sure. But I will say, going back to kind of what you said about, you know, working in local news and kind of working your way up that way, the good thing about that is you're going to work like every single shift. So I've worked morning shifts before in every market I've been at. So there is a familiarity with it. And now I'm just doing it every single day instead of filling in or doing it for weeks at a time. Now I'm doing it permanently. So that was good, because I think if you had told me like this is the first time you're going to work at 2 a.m., I think I would be struggling a lot more.
Yeah, I remember, because I had interned back in college at a TV station in Philadelphia, and I had done it 2 days a week doing 3:30 to 9:30. But when I came to West Virginia and was doing that 5 days a week, it was a little bit of an adjustment.
And coffee helps too. So right now, like our day is kind of getting started. Like, we're starting to build the show and things like that. And then around like 11 o'clock is when I'll start doing some more writing and things like that. So coffee definitely helps.
How involved are you with like helping produce the show?
Well, what's nice about World News Now is a very producer driven show, and the producers we have are incredible and fantastic. And a lot of them have been around this show for a very, very long time. So it runs like a well-oiled machine. So both Mona and I are very involved. But I will say that, like, the shout out is to the writers and the producers on this show, who are all just brilliant. And I feel like every single day, I'm just amazed by the people I get to work with and how talented they are.
Yeah, I mean, I love watching those shows. You guys come across as so authentic, and you're able to, being on mornings, you're able to show a little bit more personality than maybe you necessarily could in the evenings. So I love how you guys, play off all the jokes. And I saw the thing you guys were doing last week that with the M&Ms and stuff, just a lot of awesome stuff to see, as well as, getting, of course, that hard news in there. So I did a little research. So you were born in Flushing. You grew up in Florida. I read that you worked at SNY and News 12. So I have to ask maybe the hardest question: where do your sports allegiances lie?
Oh, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan through and through, every sport. It's my ride or die team. I obviously went to college there, and I feel like there's more of a connection with collegiate sports. But outside of that, I'm a diehard Yankees fan, even though I was born, I don't know, a mile away from Shea Stadium, where the Mets play. But I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Just grew up a Yankees fan. My mom used to work in the Bronx when I was younger, so there's just this connection to the Bronx and the Yankees. So I'm a Bronx Bomber. And then it's going to sound like I'm just like a fair weather fan. I guess I picked my teams and my allegiances really well when I was younger. I'm also a Packers fan, huge Packers fan. Yeah.
That's a little disheartening to hear because I'm from New Jersey and I'm a Mets fan and I work for the Mets, but
New Jersey, really, I feel like Jersey tends to lean more Yankees and Jets than it does Mets and Giants.
Being a Yankees fan is a whole lot better. The Mets fans deal with a lot of disappointment. Maybe not this year. I guess we'll see how things play out. But I mean, guess we'll see. All right. Well, to finish things off, I have a little segment called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's some fast break questions. So are you ready?
I think so.
All right. Tea or coffee?
Coffee all day.
Night side or day side?
Night side for sure.
In studio or out in the field?
Well, I guess that answer is now changing, but definitely out in the field. I'm trying to get out in the field more and more, and actually have one of our first segments is airing tonight where I went out in the field. So looking forward to that.
We're just definitely gonna have to check it out. Prompter or ad lib? Ad
lib for sure.
And live or look live?
Live, always live. Live and ad lib. It's more genuine. It's okay to have a conversation. I feel that a lot of, and this, not to circle the wagon here, but back to making those mistakes and going to local news, I feel like so many people starting out in this industry try to be too polished and too perfect, especially on air. And in no conversation is anybody polished or perfect. And that is how you lose that connection with the viewer. So I'm all about live and ad-libbing as much as you can. I mean, it's with facts and information, it's hard. You can't ad-lib that kind of stuff, but the emotion of it, of whatever story you're doing, and the urgency of it, that can be more genuine and authentic the less you script it.
Oh, I love that. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us here on Newshound. It was an absolute honor to learn about you and your journey in this business, and truly just an awesome first way to kick off this series. We wish you all the best. Well, that's going to wrap things up for Andrew Dymburt. I'm Samantha Castano. We'll see you next time here on Newshound.
Take it easy.